What is up? We are back from unknown to unforgettable. We got an awesome guest here. We got my guy, one of my good friends, Andrew Dornish, here in the studio. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, not bad. Super excited to be here. Thanks for having me. It's always fun being on with the, well, we don't know quite yet, but maybe the ultimate agent. So super excited about that.
Yeah, if you guys are just tuning in here, I was able to be on the first reality TV show called The Ultimate Agent. That's airing. Fourth episode comes out tonight. If you're watching this later, it'll be on YouTube. Just type in Cody Askins Ultimate Agent Challenge or Ultimate Agent Contest. You'll be able to find that. I'll keep the link down in the description as well. So you could just go straight to that. But we're here for you, Mr. Andrew. I appreciate you taking some time to just talk and kind of just help us as entrepreneurs, bring some value for sure. But I guess tell me about how you got to where you are today. Because I know that you've worked with huge brands, you've done huge different things like that, but obviously you probably didn't start there. So kind of tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So originally from West Palm Beach, Florida, grew up in Columbus, Ohio. I always had a dream of living out in the mountains. That was from going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, growing up on family vacation. So I moved out to Denver, Colorado, which is where I reside now. Got into first the marketing industry just because it's something that I've always done. I've always been involved in some kind of event production, working for the PGA Tour in high school, and then working for them all the way through college for a company back home in Columbus.
What'd you do? What'd you do for them?
So we did all we worked for a couple tournaments, won the Memorial Tournament, which is a PGA Tour event, the Chiquita Classic, which at time was a nationwide tour event, which is kind of like the introductory tour to the PGA.
Okay.
Which is now called the Corn Ferry Tour. And then I did an LPGA tour event for Wendy's. And what we did, we were pretty much responsible, or I was on a team that was responsible for everything that was temporary on the golf course. So all the stands, organizing all the volunteers, working with the golf course and coming up with, evacuation plans and kind of everything that, the golf course didn't focus on and the TV and the actual tournament was focusing on. So, it was a great experience. We worked crazy hours. It was not unheard of to work, 20 some hours in a day.
Jeez, bro.
Yeah, we would, it was crazy because the only times that we could work were when the golf tournament wasn't happening. So think of a golf tournament as usually happening from 8 a.m. to 4 or 5 o'clock at night. Those are the hours that we could not work. So we had to work mainly from 4 to roughly 2 to 3, 4 in the morning. And then we would go to bed, wake up at 6, work from 6 to 9. And then during the day, we would just kind of be on call. That was like our nap time. We could kind of hide under a tree, don't tell my boss, and take a quick snooze. But yeah, it definitely instilled a lot of, work ethic in me, confidence in what I was doing. Again, I was in high school doing this job, working with people that were obviously doing this at their profession, in their 30s and 40s. So it really provided like a great solid foundation for what I do today.
Yeah.
So when I came out to Colorado, worked for a marketing agency up in Boulder, Colorado, and we did everything like consumer activation. So we would go to festivals, represent brands like Progressive Insurance, Ford Motor Company, Mountain Dew, I guess we did some stuff with them. And we would provide everything from the assets, so what the productions look like, the experience from A to Z, mock-ups, the actual consumer experience, and then we would go out and work these events. So we would facilitate the conversations, represent the brand, again, kind of instilling, a great work ethic based on, setting up all these events, breaking them down.
Totally.
And then also it was a great networking opportunity. We're going to these large festivals, large conventions every single weekend, meeting with these brands, representing other brands. So, you really kind of create this family on the road, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. So you did, was it like little road shows? Like you would do like stuff here and there and it would be like with one brand, or you kind of just go here with Mountain Dew, here with Ford Motocross, whatever, and then you just kind of go different places? Is that how that worked?
Yeah, so we would be with different brands. So like one week you would be a part of the Progressive team, the next week you would be a part of the Ford team, not necessarily week after week after week, but just depending on what your contract was, you would kind of hopscotch around different brands. playing different roles. So, one day it might have been a tour manager for an insurance company. The next was a product specialist talking about a car. The following was talking about a product that someone was releasing. So for me, it was great because it was vastly different every single weekend. You could kind of chew on a different product. You got to know different product, a different environment, different atmosphere. A boat show is different from an RV show, which is different from a car show. Yeah, so, trying to put on all those different hats and working the group, was awesome and kind of kept it really fresh.
Totally.
Let's see. Yeah. And then a couple years after that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. After you.
No. Oh yeah. I was going to ask, like, so you did all that stuff and then you're in the insurance industry now, kind of like, how did you get into that? Or are you still doing both, like the marketing side and being a brand ambassador for these people, and then also doing insurance as well? What are you doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So now, after a couple of years of doing that, I decided that my 5-year plan wasn't acceptable in that kind of environment. So I left kind of my 9-to-5 job, started a marketing agency on my own. Still run that to this day. We work with some awesome clients at Pepsi, Ducati, are kind of our two biggest clients right now. We got a couple of awesome projects on the way, but like you said, also do PNC. So my kind of COVID project, as you can imagine, not many events were really happening during that time.
Yep.
Was to start the PNC side of things. So, when COVID first happened, I falsely assumed that it was going to be 2 weeks. This sucker's going to come through just like the flu. We're going to wash our hands. We're going to be done and on to the next one. That obviously wasn't the case. So I had to pivot and kind of come up with a new strategy, and that was PNC. And that's kind of why I started the PNC insurance side of things. Obviously, with a client like Progressive, I had somewhat of a background in working those events and kind of knew basics about the industry, but not how to get leads, not how to call leads, but I knew kind of like the structure of how the operations worked, which was super helpful.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So obviously you left for a reason to start your own agency just at the beginning. What were some of the challenges you went through, just like really choosing to be an entrepreneur and going down that route of like, hey, I'm going to really start my own thing now?
Yeah. So in my eyes, I consider myself a delusional optimist. Like at the end of the day, absolutely anything is possible and everything can be researched and anything can be done. I think
I'm the same.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be. It would be crazy if you weren't. You have to say yes to everything and then figure it out later is what I've learned. So that's kind of been a big play in my life. I think, you just have to research, right? There's always answers out there. There's people like Cody you can go to on YouTube. Like, you don't even have to know the guy. You don't even have to know some of these people. There's, Grant Cardone that you can, figure out about motivation without even spending $1. You can kind of research these people. Yeah. Ed Milet, there's all these figures out there that you can follow, Gary V, and kind of, base some of your things on a lot of smart people, a lot of geniuses, all leave clues to success and how they operate. So instead of, obviously it's important to look at their message, but it's also to look at how their message is being sent, how it's being, received, and kind of based, what you say, how you say it, based it on those loosely, obviously with your twist. But, replication, duplication is kind of the way that I got where I'm at and kind of saying yes to everything.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like you say yes and you're like, you get that commitment with that person, you get off the line and you're like, dude, I have no clue what to do.
Yeah, exactly. That has happened 4 times this week. So yeah, I mean, it still happens to this day, and I'm still always be a learner, always be receptive to learning, receptive to change. Is super important. I think if you stand in that area of always learning and always trying to improve, I think you'll succeed.
Yeah, that's actually that segues perfect into what I was like very curious about with you is like self-development. You talked a lot about like Ed Milet, dude. Like, he's insane. It's gonna be cool to meet him next week, dude.
Yeah, very.
So that'll be cool. We're gonna be at 8% together, and Ed Milet, Tim Tebow, even Jesse Itzler.
Legend. It's gonna be sweet.
So what types of self-development do you do and incorporate in your like either daily routine or that you like create good habits? Because I personally just finished or I'm like literally 20 minutes left of a Atomic Habits. And I was like, dude, I've been needing to read this book and listen to it because I listened to a lot of Alex Hormozy, and he pretty much brings the principles. And I don't know if he's read the book, but he like pretty much talks a lot about it, and just being able to build good habits. So like for you, what types of stuff do you do for self-development, as like being an entrepreneur is so like self-development driven?
Yeah, absolutely. So I honestly didn't really believe in investing in yourself for the longest time, right? I didn't really start doing it until COVID happened. So when COVID happened, I hired a business coach, worked with him for a little over a year. And that kind of was my introductory into self-development, into, investing in yourself. Like that wasn't even like a concept that I was even aware of, that you could invest in a teacher in the business realm of things. It was always just, kind of an afterthought. So that kind of started that. And then for the insurance industry, just trying to figure it out, just trying to get some kind of head start, some kind of like, how to curve the startup of it was, obviously investing in Cody Askins and some of his programs. While it isn't, PNC is obviously different than life, but at least coming up with some of the structures, some of the lead capture ideas, some of the, canvassing the industry, it was a great introduction to try and get started off the bat. So for me, self-development's a very new thing. I also listen to a ton of books on Audible. I just got Ed Milet's book,
The Power of One More.
Yeah, The Power of One More. Yeah, absolutely.
So good. Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet, but I listened to his Max Out book.
Oh, nice. I haven't done that one yet. Is that good?
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's pretty, like, to be honest, it's pretty basic. It reminds me of Grant Cardone's book, 10X, dude. It's like max out every area of your life, do 10 times more than you're thinking. It's like, it's pretty much the same type of structure, but I'm excited for The Power of One More. I think there's been a lot of hype around it for sure.
Yeah, I just started reading it a week ago at this point. It's been awesome so far. But yeah, like Grant Cardone stuff, I started to invest in kind of middle of COVID. And I think that's super important for people right now as we're entering this going to be a very interesting time. It's no lie, we're in the midst of a recession. It's going to be interesting to see how long this lasts for. But as an entrepreneur, I think now is the time to double down on what you believe in, not a time to be cautious and not a time to kind of waver in your ideas. If you think you're confident in what you're doing, how you're doing it, now's the time to double down on it. There's going to be a ton of people out there that are going to leave their industry, that are going to move on. And it's going to leave a ton of room for, the voids to be filled. This is the time where, millionaires turn to billionaires. This is the time for entrepreneurs to really, grab life by the horns and take it for a ride. Because I think, like I said, I think people are going to be cautious of how they move forward. So now's the time more than anything to kind of get going.
That's so good. I love that, dude. Yeah. I haven't thought of it that way, to be honest. I know that like a lot of big things happened during the recession and different things like that. And you hear about all the successful people now talk about that time and they're like what they did in that. And I think that's really good perspective. What does it mean to invest in yourself? Like practically, because it's been a concept. I think I'm going to do a solo podcast on this, to be honest, because it's funny you said that, because I've like this whole, like my whole life, I've always been like, I've heard the idea, invest in yourself. I'm like, dude, what does that even mean? Like, and so I feel like I've come to more of a realization now. But for you, like, what's been investment in yourself been like for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think originally for me, my whole idea behind investing in myself and investing in, coaching and all that kind of stuff was like, why would I join these cult groups that say these crazy things online? And, they're behind like a Grant Cardone or, someone crazy like that. What is the point of even doing that stuff? But then I think it's a couple things, right? I think it's an inventory of what you believe in and how you accomplish things is one of the most important parts of it, right? Start with what you want to do, how you want to do it. Second is how do you do that to the next level and assigning individuals to each individual goal, each individual habit that you want to create and kind of, max out, or I'm going to have max out on my mind for the rest of this now because you said it earlier. But
I love it, bro. I love it.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, max out. If you're watching this and working out, max out.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's it's, how do you accomplish your goals quicker and sooner? And, how do you focus your attention on certain habits? And I think when you surround yourself with not only those individuals, but you surround yourself with that conversation, I think it's a lot more profound. It's a lot easier to achieve. It's a lot, it's a lot easier to kind of get in that mindset of achieving when you're kind of around those individuals, around those thoughts. You read the book, you hear these concepts being said. So I think it's been very powerful, and it's been, for me, has led to kind of one of my most successful years I've ever had so far this year. So it's
I was going to ask you, what has it investing in yourself done for you? Like, what have you seen the benefits of that being? Because I feel like a lot of people, it's funny because I have different conversations with different people of like investing in yourself, and they're like, dude, like the coaching program, they're overcharging, that's not worth it, whatever. But it's like, I feel like one, you got to find the right person to actually buy a course from, or whatever that looks like. I don't even think buying a course, but more like buying like a coach that will actually work with you and help you individually. But how has it helped you personally, just in your business, but also maybe in personal life, things like that? How's that helped you?
I think it's opened up my mind to what's possible, right? You do something the same every single day. You wake up. I love routines, but also routines can be the killer of good habits, right? So if you do the same thing every single day, you're not experiencing anything else. If you go to the same grocery store, you're just kind of numb to walking through that experience. When you get outside yourself, and when you engage with another individual, or engage with some kind of piece of content or coaching session, it opens up your mind to what might also be out there, right? So there might be a different way to doing something. There might be a different way of thinking about something. I think that's super important. And I think for everybody, if this is something that's new to you, like it was to me, I don't encourage people to go out and spend $10,000 or $1,000 into, jumping into a coaching session. Like, there is so much free content out there on YouTube, on YouTube mainly, that is free, right? Like, every morning a couple of weeks ago, I would turn on just like the best of, I think it was the best of Ed Milet, and I would just let that play every single morning. And as I was kind of getting ready in the background, it says motivational talks. It has, what he did every day. So when you just kind of surround yourself with those ideas, surround yourself with, the positive self-talk, I think is super powerful. And I think, again, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to do it. You just got to surround yourself either with those people, or find, mediums out there that you can surround yourself with as well.
I agree. Yeah, that's really good. I think what you said, where'd you get that quote, not quote, but like idea of like a routine could be the what is it? The killer of good habits? Yes.
I just came up with it. So we can coin it on this. But
what made you start thinking about that? Did you hear it, or did you have you seen that?
Yeah. So where I kind of originated from is, I was listening, I can't even remember, this was a couple years ago at this point, but I was listening to a podcast, and they were like, do something different that you wouldn't normally do. And it's as crazy as like going to a different grocery store. Like, so you go to the same grocery store every single day, you know where the butter is, you know where the milk is, you know where the eggs are. If you went to a different grocery store, see how different like your mind is stimulated. So you go to a different grocery store, now you got to find the butter, now you got to go find the milk, now you got to go find the eggs. And when you stimulate yourself in like a different fashion, it's crazy how it's just interesting how different even the same environment can be. And you don't go through those same stimulations every single day, but if you can like kind of change it up a little bit, it just kind of provides you with like something fresh, something new, thinking about something in a different way. You might see something different. And it's just crazy how even just like going shopping at the grocery store kind of stimulates yourself that way.
Yeah, I was listening to, I mean, that James Clear talks about that in Atomic Habits.
Oh, really?
That idea. Yeah. Cause he's like, if you're trying to eat better, go to a different grocery store, because you're going to have a list, and you don't know subconsciously where this is, where that is, all the bad food, and you being super intentional. So that's really cool. Kind of wrapping this up, like, what's one of the biggest things, just as a young entrepreneur, somebody just comes to you is like, hey, like, Andrew, how do I be successful? Like, what's one of the things that you would say that you've seen other young entrepreneurs do that is like a character trait that's a must, or something that they could be like, that you could like, advice that you could give to a young entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is whatever you're going to do it now. Like, don't think about it. Some of the best ideas get lost in the planning. If you can get out and if you can execute as quickly as possible, that would be my suggestion. Know that it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world. You're going to mess up. You're going to be wrong. You're going to, try things that aren't possible, and you might actually surprise yourself in what you can pull off. With that being said, obviously it's important that you have some kind of plan. Make sure you have some kind of funding for what you're looking to achieve. I left my job with 6 weeks of income. I could survive for 6 weeks off the income that I had in the bank. So that was kind of my, launch off point. I knew, that's different for everybody. Some people it's going to be 6 months. Some people it's going to be a month. I was living with a roommate. I was young. I didn't have very many obligations. So, for me, it was a lot easier to kind of jump off. And for me, like the back of my mind, like Starbucks is always hiring, McDonald's is always hiring, and my parents always have a couch in the basement. So like worst case scenario is, I'm working at McDonald's, living in my parents' couch, but, think about what's positive, think about what you can achieve, think about your goals, and do your best to align your business plan or align your life plan with those goals.
I love that. It makes me think of, just what you said. You touched on something so good, and then it just like completely just went away. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say was the story. Like, dude, imagine that story though. Like, say it's the worst case scenario, right? And you chase this dream and you don't accomplish it. You start working at McDonald's, live on your parents' couch, and all of a sudden you start building a business on the side and it blows up. Like, dude, that's the story that like simulates somebody. So it's like, if you're worried about taking the next step, like the bigger the obstacles that come up, the better the story gets. If you don't give up, that's the thing, you can't give up. So I love that you said that.
And I, like that happened, like kind of happened to me. Like I was started my own marketing agency I think I was working for 2 or 3 years on my own, and I actually ran out of money one year. Moved back to Ohio, and I was traveling out of Ohio for 6 months. Worst case scenario, during that 6 months, I ended up breaking my ankle, got 9 pins and a metal plate down the ankle now, which is awful timing. But just expect, like, these things are going to happen. Like, life's going to happen. Always be prepared, but know that, the people that make it are the ones that fight through anything, that keep their goals and morals front of mind, and always look on the bright side of things and be positive with what they're trying to achieve, and just don't stop. Like, don't stop.
Oh, it's so good, dude. So good. We could talk for hours, bro. But I really, dude, seriously, this was fun. This is exciting. I'm excited to see you at 8%, bro. What's the best way if somebody just like hearing this, loved what you're saying, wanted to ask more about what investing yourself looked like, how to really like discern what is a good coaching program to invest in if they're at that point yet or not? What's a good way they could reach out to you?
Yeah, probably easiest way is on Instagram. It's just I am Andrew RD, all spelled out. Probably the easiest way to get a hold of me, or shoot me an email, andrewd@cocraftinsurance.com. Boom,
there we go. So if you're trying to go from unknown to unforgettable, this dude right here, he's done it. So appreciate your time so much. Thank you guys so much for listening to throughout the whole podcast. I'm trying to be able to keep these a little bit shorter. Drop in the comments stuff you're trying to hear, stuff you're trying to get, stuff you're having a hard time with. I would love to connect with you as well. But I appreciate you guys listening from unknown to unforgettable, the podcast. We're about to hit double digits, baby. So thank you so much.
Let's go get it.
Listening.
Like, subscribe, everybody. Get out there.
Yes, sir. Let's go. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks, man.